Right, so back to step 26. We're about to put the diff in the car. So we need to put the rear hanger on first, which sits on here like this, with the little recesses for the screws. So that sits on here like that. And yep, that sits on there and just needs tightening up. As you can see, that's where it sits on the car. Right, so I'll just nip those screws down. Okay, they're tightened up. Now it's time to put the diff in. So this is our ball diff. It's all the one we made up earlier. So we'll run 2 shims and the bearing. And if it feels a bit tight, then we can remove a shim from either side. And then we're going to run it low diff, so we want the larger eccentric rather than the mid one. We'll be running it in the low diff setting. Okay. That is ready to drop in the car. Right, I'll be putting the nut side of the diff on the kind of spurgy pinion side, and that's dropped in nicely. So yeah, the shimming seems to be fine. That's in the low setting, so that's ready for the diff case to go on top, I think. But first of all, add a bit more grease. To lubricate it. You don't need a lot, but I like to use the lithium grease. Okay, so now it's time to move on to step 27, which is basically putting the rear hangers on. So we won't be putting the gearbox top on just yet. So you want you and the rear shock mount. Okay, so this has been machined, so I'm assuming that faces forwards. And then we're going to be using, and there's 4 holes on this tower, and we'll be using the second hole. So that's something different. Not used to always be 5 holes. So let's quickly build up the shock tower. Grab the 5.5mm driver. Oh, I see. So the yeah, I had that round the wrong way in my head, but I put it together correctly. The recessed section sort of sits at the back of the shock tower. So that's those on. Let's put the wing mounts on. So they mount on like so. Put the long screw through, then a washer and a nut. And these I do not do up tight at all. Just one thing some people do is run the aluminium rear hanger to hold the wing in place a bit more rigidly. So literally just do it up so it's a snug fit. If you really crank down on this, it will make it too rigid, and in a crash it can snap. So yeah, you don't want to tighten it up too tight. Yeah, just gonna pop the nut into my driver. Yeah. And then we'll just put the wing buttons that go in there, we'll put them to one side, because I'll be putting those on later with the wing, so there's no real point in putting them in there right now. So they're ready. Okay. Right, so we're moving on to bag D now for step 28. I'll just tip that out. And we'll have a quick look through here, see what we can find. 29, 28, I reckon this must be it. There we go. So this will be attaching the gearbox top and the shock tower to the back of the car. Right, so what we'll do is we get the gearbox top and attach that to the shock tower. So just going to check the screws we need, and we're going to be using 12 mils. So long ones we'll put to one side, and we should have 4 12mm screws, which are these ones here. So these 4 will attach the shock tower to the gearbox top. So I'll quickly put all those in. Right, so I've tightened those screws up, and now the shock tower is attached, and then that just drops straight on top of the back of the car here, on top of the gearbox. Check everything's running freely, which it is. And then we've got the long screws and the short screws. Short ones go at the front of the gearbox, so we just slot those in there. Long ones go in the back, like so, if I am correct. That one there is a little harder to get to, so I'll put it on my driver and feed that in, and then I'll tighten those up. Right, so that's all screwed down now, and it's running nice and free, and ready for the wishbones and drive shafts and so on. But yeah, that's going to get really nice. Happy with that. So time for a cup of tea, I think.